me your fucking money!
So this story starts with me being sent to a conference room. I don't remember really what for. I think it was probably because I was in trouble. But I walk into the room and it's just this group of band kids sitting at the table, all in one big group at one side of the table. So I sit opposite from them and put my bag on the table, thinking I'd get a little nap in. It was still pretty early, so I was still fairly high. As I settle in, I hear one of them start to say something about weed, and at this time, I just so happen to be selling weed. And so I keep listening, and one of them says that they wanted to try cocaine, and I was like, sweet, easy custos. So I introduced myself, let them know I could get the things that they needed. So they all go into their bags and they pull out their money and they give me around $300, probably like 280 something. So I say, yeah, I can get y'all an eighth of weed and a gram of coke, taxing them super hard. Super hard. I had a perk addiction at this time. Listen, I couldn't help it. So I tell them I can get them their weed by the end of the day. So the rest of the day kind of just goes by, and I went to talk to them where they had said that they wanted to meet up, and they say, hey, why don't you come over after school tomorrow to give us the coke? So I was like, dope, sounds great. So the next day comes, and I meet up with the snow machine, as I called him, aka the coke man. So I walk in and he just has this super geeked out, excited face when he sees me, and he says, dog, this shit, and then he looks at the bag and then back at me, this shit right here is the shit that killed Whitney Houston. And I was like, what, nigga? And he says, I never had nothing this good. And being the cokehead that I was at the time, I was like, bet, I'ma just spend all these kids' money on coke. So I asked to try it, and I did a couple little bumps, and it was probably the highest I had ever been on coke. Now, to this day, I still go back and forth on whether or not this was real coke, because I wonder sometimes if it was like synthocane or some other research chemical, because it was just insane, the levels of high that I was off of like a very, very small amount, and like it continued throughout the night as well, just being super intense. So immediately I pull out this almost $300 and throw it to him and say, give me whatever you want to give me for that. I didn't even know how much he gave me. And so, of course, I continued to do coke throughout the day till I spent the last class period hiding in the bathroom doing coke off the toilet paper dispenser. So after I finish hiding, I go to where the band kids had told me to meet them after school again. They say to me, hey, you want to come over and smoke for a little bit? And of course, my coke brain said, sure, somewhere to geek the fuck out without my mom tripping on me, so great. So we hop in the car, and these niggas start treating me like royalty. Keep in mind, I'm a coked out, low level drug dealer hanging out with these band kids, and they just let me sit shotgun and give me the aux like I'm some kind of fucking important person or something. They even let me control the AC. But when I think back on it, they probably let me control the AC because I was drenched in coke sweat. So one of them is like, we should get snacks and drinks. So they start pulling into the parking lot of a dollar store, and I start just freaking out. Like, I start getting super paranoid, and they hop out, and I tell them to go without me. And at this point, I'm just really high, hot, and paranoid as shit. I think everyone's trying to kill me and shit. I can see 1,000 police for miles. Like, I'm just not okay at this point. So they come back, and I'm on the floorboard in the front seat, almost in the fetal position. Keep in mind, I'm 6'2". And at this time, I was like 320 pounds at the least. So I stuffed my massive body down into this little front floorboard space, and it was like some weird older. It was like an older Honda CRV, probably. I don't really know, but it was like an older Honda SUV. I'll probably put a picture of it up. But I'm on the floor just hiding from the light and slamming rails. And as the door opens, I just shoot the fuck back up and sit in my chair like nothing was happening. Which in the process got my face covered in coke, including my eye. So I rub it all off and we start going, and they don't even seem to notice how hard I'm tweaking. And all of a sudden, I end up in this house, and it's like a pretty nice upper middle class house, you know, hella family pictures on the wall, differently sized coat hangers and shit. Like it's got a fridge with a water dispenser. Like this is like some real money I'm talking about. So we start going down these stairs, and I can hear yelling and very of the time dubstep coming from the basement. And as the door opens, the realization that I just brought coke to a dweeb party sets in. And the two niggas playing Smash yell pause and look at us simultaneously. And it was like everything froze, at least in my head. It went silent, and they finally say, "What's up, guys?" And it just goes completely back to normal. So the people I came with bring me in and start introducing me to people. And we go to like the back of the room on this couch, and I say, "Y'all want to go somewhere to get your guys' stuff?" And he says, "Nah, just pull it out." And I'm like, "Okay." So I do, and they get up and go to the front, and they pull out this sack of weed, which was probably closer to like 6 or 7 grams really than an eighth. Listen, when I was really off the perks, I was just awful at drug dealing, I'll be honest. Good thing I don't do that shit anymore. But they pull out this weed, and then they pull out like 1.5 of coke. And everyone in the room just looks at it and goes nuts. You know, I'm under the impression that, you know, these are all pretty good kids. Like, these kids aren't like me. This was not what I was expecting at all. They just start going nuts. They start asking me questions about it, asking me how to do it. As I'm showing this one dweeb how to rail lines, this one kid kicks the door open and says, "Look what I found." And this nigga, who I've seen running between classes with books in his hands, is standing there with some random ass vodka and whiskey. And I stop everything that I'm doing and say, "Okay, I need that whiskey inside of me now." So I walk up and grab it from him and just start slamming it, just going after it, completely forgetting that I'm in a room full of fucking people. I turn and they're all staring at me. And I probably stood there and looked at them for a really fucking long time before mumbling, "What? Y'all ain't never seen a white person before?" For whatever reason, my brain decided that's what I needed to say at that moment. So I say that, and almost nobody reacts to it. They're like, "What the fuck is wrong with it? Who brought this guy? Like, where did he come from? Like, what the fuck is going on?" I start pouring shots out for people, and pretty soon I'm just blacked out. And the next thing I remember after that was sitting down to play Smash, and it was like 4 a.m. by this point. Time is just racing past me like crazy. And I play a few rounds of Smash before these girls, who I'd forgot that I'd even invited, came over. And it was one of my homegirls and two of her friends. And nigga, I thought I was popular with these niggas. They walked in and it was like I never existed, alright? So a few hours later of just me chilling and these dweebs gawking over my friends, I'm sitting on that same couch with the homegirl and one of the coke dweebs. And this homegirl of mine is like, "Yo, we should leave. Like, this is just getting to be way too much." And so we get in their car, and I just start feeling awful. I realize that I'm coming down, and so I reach into my bag, and all of the coke that I had bought earlier was down to 2 little lines. I could get 2 lines out of it. There was just like a little And they weren't even good lines either. They were just like, they were only 2 lines because I wanted to feel like I was doing more than I actually was, really. So I take them, and it's just not enough to not make me feel any better. So we get like right onto the end of her street, and I say, "Y'all got to get me home." Like, I'm like, I can't take this anymore. I got to go back to the crib. And the sun's up by this point, and I'm just feeling completely fuckered. So I get back to my house and somehow manage to not get caught going into my room. I try to sleep for a few hours before my mom comes to tell me that she made food. And I just knocked my fucking ashtray off the table. Anyways, my mom comes in to tell me that she made food, and I pretend to be asleep as best as I can. And, as she left, I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to start snorting perks to try to come off the blow, and try to sleep. And then I proceeded to be in a coma for 2 days. So, yeah, moral of the story is, don't do coke, and more importantly, don't bring it around the dweebs, because shit gets fucking crazy. I'll see y'all guys in the next video. The